Hey, what's up, Silas here. I'm going to be talking to you guys about how people view politicians. There's something I'm noticing about how they view evidence, proof, facts, and the quality or the things politicians say. What do people expect from politicians? Because some think people have been reacting to things with Harry Potter and evidence and Peter Schiff and Russia and things like this in ways that make me question how people actually think of politicians. Okay, so the main thing here is how do you think of a politician? When you think, oh, this is a politician, what are the expectations that you have? I actually have some minor experience. Okay, I have a lot more experience actually following politics and reading stuff about it, looking at the people that are out there, what they say, what they do, what the purpose of it is. That's a lot more recent in my life. But my first, I think, direct experience of politics was in high school. I ran for class president with my friend Alex Lee. And we did this small campaign where we were making signs and things like that. I remember having to go up and give a speech and being very nervous in front of the kids and other classmates and stuff in the auditorium. And the cost that we had for advertising, I remember doing some little drawings and illustrations for doing name plays with my last name and my my friend's name and things like that. It was like Nicole and Alex Lee, and it was like so all these things going on together and mixing those things together and just getting out there, and then we lost. I got out there. I thought I also didn't really have that much actual thought of what actually was going to do as a president. It seemed to be something interesting to do. The person who won, I don't know how much she actually did, but I just remember thinking there was a situation where we were pretty sure that that person spent a lot more money on her campaign than we did. I think she also actually might have done more. I don't know. I remember there was something of doing something with that. There was something we said of we're going to do something with the vending machines or something. Anyway, so that was like, what are the qualifications to be class president for a high school? It was just like, if you want to run, you want to run. And then you get up there and you run and then you ask people and then people vote for you, you win. That's how it goes. There's certain limitations in what you can do in the actual campaign, but when it comes down to it, you could pass those limitations. You could do less, you could do more. But when it comes down to it, you go up there on stage, you talk to these people, you put up posters around, and someone votes for you. Now, when we come out to the real world, quote, the real world, unquote, IRL, that whole kind of situation, what is it? I think a lot of American society is just a copy of the high school type of life put out. Now, that's a big part because you shovel all the kids through public schooling and the high school system, and you get them to kind of think of the world in that way. And it is made to kind of create the kind of people, individuals, not individuals, the kind of people, persons, units that are going to fit in the widgets that are out there in the rest of the world. And there are things that are similar. And I think we also went to a rather highly ranked high school, so there could be something with experience in there. But let's get back to the actual thing. The first thing I want to talk about here is when it comes to the current impeachment of Donald J. Trump. So apparently, I'm just too bored with it. I think I've had enough for a while. Election season's coming up. I'm going to get more into politics and watching that stuff, but I want to take a different angle on it because it's just so boring. Some of these things for me. I tried watching these actual actual people talking. The impeachment's not going to happen. They're trying to save face and they have to do this thing. But anyway, he went up and he was saying some things about them, Russia and Ukraine. And there's a tweet here by Kimberly Strassel, and she says, "Why is it that nobody in MSM, mainstream media, calls out Representative Adam Schiff for a basic and repeated falsehood in this trial? To witness that Russia helped Trump win an election and that Trump was trying to repeat this with Ukraine. Where is there any evidence for this outrageous claim?" So this was posted out, and my response to that was, it's a religious claim. If he said that Satan was against the Democrats and that God wants him to impeach Trump, it would be based on the same requirement of evidence. Most who care what the mainstream media says don't care about actual veracity of what the priest Schiff said. And in this case, Adam Schiff is just the priest of their belief system in the state, and they happen to have the denomination. Is it denomination when they have the different things like the Baptists and the Lutherans and things like this? You just have different things. Like democracy is kind of like how Christianity, and then now there's denominations within it where people are like, oh, I'm a liberal Democrat, I'm a social Democrat, I'm a conservative, fiscal conservative, and these things. Those are just now different denominations within the whole religion, the subsection of religion, which is theology, the subsection of that status theology is democracy and things like that. So people kind of go, and this is our priest. Our priest is saying these things. We're not going to hold him responsible for exactly what he's saying. If somebody talks about Jesus and Satan and hell and things like that, you're not going to sit there and question him and say, how is Adam Schiff saying that? Where is the evidence for that? Nobody asks that. But when he comes and talks about Marusha, who is Satan in this kind of situation, people wonder, why isn't he actually giving proof, giving evidence? No, it's because you're looking at it like these people are actually expecting rational behavior from this character. No, it's a religious type of situation there. And that's the thing I'm wondering. Does Kimberly Strassel expect rational behavior from the politicians that she supports? Does she think Peter Schiff was voted in to hold his position because of the rational and things, evidence-based things that he says and does and is expected to do from his populace? Or do these populace have other interests that he's fulfilling? That's kind of the situation I'm wondering. Like, what is your relationship? What do people expect from politicians? Another thing is connected to this. This was by a UK politician. A UK politician says Parliament is like Hogwarts after the Death Eaters took over. Now, this was posted in a group, I think it was the God Emperor Trump page, and it's just written, read another book. You know, they're kind of mocking her, saying, oh, these people just talk about Harry Potter all the time. That's all they're focusing on and things like this. And my general response to this was like, okay, Harry Potter is an interesting book. It kind of does make sense. He was talking about the Death Eaters coming in. If she said, when I got to Parliament, I felt like when Jesus came into the temple and then he saw everything was a mess, and then he decided to trash everything and throw everything out and just throw these people out and say, this is not what this place is supposed to be. No one would be like, read another book, read another religious book. When you talk about it in that sense, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. She's seeing it in that kind of sense. And this is all she's talking about in this situation. She's saying it's kind of like you get there and you think it's going to be something else. You think you're going to be working on these kind of things. And then you get there and you find it's been changed. It's different from what you expected. That's just what she's saying. I completely understand where she's coming from on this. And she happens to find Harry Potter to be more contemporary of a fiction that's more useful, that people can relate to than something like the Bible. And they're both as fictional to me. They both make sense for you to make different correlations too. Why is Harry Potter worth mockery, but somebody using things of the Bible is all of a sudden, yeah, that's legit. There's actually reasons to actually make those connections in that kind of sense. I don't get it. Now, coming up to the final thing with this situation, I was talking about what do people expect from politicians? What are the requirements you think? Because recently, Cardi B of supposedly, allegedly having been back in the day. No, she was a stripper. That she's admitted. Proud of that. She talked about that. She was a stripper. But there's nothing wrong with being a stripper, first of all. There's this really funny meme where, it's not a funny meme, but a friend sent me a picture. I think I might post up the screen right now, where there's this drawing of a kid, like, when I grow up, I want to be like mommy. And there's all these, like, stick figure people holding dollars, and the mommy is kind of standing there with something that looks like a slightly silverish pole with, like, a dark black thing below. It's rather big. And then the note from the mother is like, no, I'm telling you, I've never been a stripper, just letting this out. I work at Home Depot, and I was selling the last snow shovel to the last bunch of people. So, like, in that kind of situation, there's nothing wrong with strippers. If you're a stripper, in most cases, there's many people involved in that field that have been through some bad things in their background for them to get to the situation where they're doing transactional sex in that kind of way. But as an occupation, I think stripper might actually be more honorable than politician when it comes in most cases. That's how I see the two fields. But how do you see the two fields? Because in this situation, Cardi B was saying, hey, I'm going to be a politician. But there was a time back when Cardi B was talking about, hey, where are my taxes going? I walk around the streets. I don't even want to do a Cardi B voice. I walk around the streets and all this thing's a mess and this and this and that and that. And people are like, yeah, Cardi B gets it. Cardi B knows what's up. Yeah. And like, even Cardi B knows this. And people were supporting that. That was on one side of the political kind of scheme. Then when she comes out and talks with Bernie Sanders, and Bernie Sanders gives her props and gives her endorsements and things like that, people are like, oh, Cardi B's crazy. Why are you talking about Cardi B? Why should you listen to anything Cardi B says? What does she know about anything? You're a little stripper in person like this. And she was talking about, hey, maybe she's going to run for politics. Maybe she's going to run for office. I think it was Cardi B. She also said something about going to Nigeria. She said a lot of things. Anyway, This situation came up when they were talking about Cardi B running for office. Or just anyone. When you hear any politician running for office, people are saying, oh, she's not qualified. She can't be a politician. What does she know about politics? What does she know about this and this? I'm like, wait, what do you expect? Who do you think? What about politicians have you seen to think that there's some kind of IQ test or there's some kind of need to know about the field that they're in? You see this thing where somebody's like Minister of Energy or is in the energy department, then he's moved to like in this other department, moved to the cabinet position of this, then is fired and moved down to this other position, shuffled around here and there, is on the board or the seat of the committee for this kind of thing. And what are the requirements for those people to actually be there? I've been watching the politics. There was one guy, this one Democrat guy was talking about how the whole island of Guam might capsize because of the troops moving on Guam. I'm like, what are your expectations? What do you expect? What do people think the politicians are? There is no IQ test to enter there. It's a popularity contest. And this is, the average person has the average vote, the number of people that actually go out there and vote. You just ask, just get 100 people on the street, ask them about their expertise on something, or just their opinion on something, and see what they choose. What are the chances of them actually coming the really educated and really fitting position for that thing? You look at something like, I think the NBA, what's called All-Star Games coming out, when they talk about sports and things like this, people who watch the game themselves, who should have some awareness of what a skilled basketball player is at this and that. When you have the actual votes for people who are going to make the All-Star Games, people just vote for people for popularity. There's situations where the experts on the fields will say this player is a lot better than this other player, but they're just not that popular. People don't like them as much. People don't want to watch him as much. He plays in a market that's not seen by enough people. So they're going to put this other person in there that's more popular. Even when it gets to a situation where experts, where you have actual people who are sports analysts, people who watch sports, people who play those games, actually on there, and then you ask them who's going to win this, who should win this, who should achieve this, what do you expect of this, what do you forecast for this? You go in that kind of situation, and how on point are those forecasts? How on point are those people selecting those things? So when it comes to a politician, what do you think is actually expected? What do you think actually selects these politicians to be there? You look at someone like Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, and what do you think her expectations were there? Why do you think she can be a politician? She obviously is. She's a congressperson right now, and Cardi B can't. People were talking about how dumb George W. Bush was. Jeb Bush, his brother, was in there for a while. Jeb Bush, he had some struggles, but he was in there. Maybe this is why people actually say the whole Trump is stupid thing, and they actually do believe it's stupid, even though I don't believe it's stupid. There is an aspect, there is some level of actual know-how and connivingness and cunningness to get that position. But it is not about IQ, it's not about intellect, it's not about being able to really know how to run a country or do X, Y, Z. Those are not there. It's just about convincing enough people to vote for you to hold this position for whatever reasons enough of those people in those areas do. And someone like Cardi B, there's enough people listen to her music, she can go to a certain area, in a certain constituency, in a certain favorable race, and she could be a politician, she could be a congresswoman, she could be a congresswoman, she could probably make it to the Senate. Possibly be the first president, first female president of the United States of America. I don't know. No, that's not going to happen. Cardi B's not going to be first. It could happen. Right.